So I'm going to give the floor to Gerard and hope this new format will work and that you will be really enjoying this moment. And please, it's also your forum, so participate actively and give us feedback. And we welcome also anyone who would like to hold a session. We hopefully will be able to have more seasons, so there will be a lot of opportunities. And thank you again for being part of this enriched community, and we really appreciate your that you stay along. Thanks. So Gerard.
Thank you, Anne-Charlotte. Well, let me briefly introduce myself again. I'm Gerard Cornet, coordinator of the Dutch network of ILOs. We are with approximately 10 ILOs covering the disciplines of astronomy, particle physics, and nuclear fusion. And we deal with industry in its role as a supplier of high-tech equipment and instrumentation. So please consider this also as a kind of disclaimer, because we are aware, of course, that the relationship between industry and research infrastructure has many other aspects, but nevertheless, let us try to shed some light on the engagement in our specific domain. And I have some slides with questions, and I would like you to comment on them and to have a discussion on your replies. You know, we have only 20 minutes, so let's start, and we'll do this in Menti. So please go to menti.com already and connect through the code in top of each slide. Okay, well, we have an ILO network in the Netherlands, and you can consider that more or less as an experiment, because we have a number of tasks and we combine them in our ILO net. Our ILOs are experimental scientists, engineers, and they are working at the research institutes in the Netherlands. And what we do is stimulate geo-return, so supporting companies to act on the big science market. We promote and foster co-development, both on the national and European level, so try to support companies to work, to collaborate with institutes in the Netherlands. And we try to support technology transfer. So this is a combination of different tasks, and well, perhaps it's nice to hear your opinion about the combination of these tasks for an ILO network in general. So please respond in a short sentence, and then we can have some discussion on your replies. And you can give multiple answers, by the way. Is this working?
Yeah, it seems like it. I think people, there we go.
It would be nice to see if someone would say, this is not a good idea. From who is this answer? Not applicable to all RIs. Who gave this reply? Not applicable to all RIs?
That would be me, actually. Claudia Ponder from Europe Bioimaging.
Hey, Claudia.
Hi, Claudia.
Hi.
Can you explain your answer?
Well, I think that in it is, I mean, I'm struggling a bit fitting into this right strict distinction between ILOs and ICOs, and so I sort of think that for a research infrastructure really working with basic research and having a large number of industry contexts that provide technology to this RI, we of course support the interaction of the industry with the different facilities in the RI, but basically it's not our role to support sales activities, and we actually don't work so much with procurement processes and so on.
Yeah, I understand. Well, I think that's the thing in our project Enrich, that there is so much diversity between ILOs and between ICOs, and all the different research infrastructures also, of course. Yeah. Is there someone who wants to respond on this? I see here, what about the field representation in this network? From who is this reply?
That was me. I'm Maria Eskevich from Clarin Eric. So coming from the languages and social sciences at Broad, so I wanted to ask and to get a bit of understanding how is SSH or is like social sciences and humanities are represented in that network, or?
Well, not in the Dutch situation. Mm-hmm. At least our ILO network is focused on the physical sciences. Mm-hmm. And of course there is participation also in the social sciences. And well, perhaps we could think about it in the Netherlands to have some kind of ILO network also for the social sciences. But as I already said, we are more or less in the beginning of these activities in the Netherlands. Is it always with industry, the public cooperation? What do you mean with this question?
That was me, Nigel Wagstaff. When I looked at your 4 tasks, I actually, running through it quickly, I missed industry. So I just wondered if, ICOs are probably into public as well as public-private. I wondered how that was for the ILOs.
I'm not sure if I understand your question correctly, but the network is the network of ILOs only, and of course our ILOs are in contact with the research infrastructure, heavily in contact with the research infrastructure and with ICOs, of course, but ICOs are not part of our network, so to say. So the ILOs are in the research institutes, and they connect with the research infrastructures. And of course, we have a big database of industries from which we try to connect the companies with the research infrastructures.
Yeah. Okay.
Move on, Gerard. We got 5 minutes.
In view of the time, we should proceed to the next question, I think.
Gerard, just a comment on Claudia's the social sciences. It's just if you have to make a distinction, or one should make a distinction between RIs that have a lot of technology orientation, which are the domains you represent in your network, but then there are others, social sciences, but also environment and other, especially distributed S3s, that do not have such a built-in relationship with industry and have to create it from scratch.
Yeah, right.
That's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, right. Okay, shall we proceed to the next question, because we have only 20 minutes and I see that there are 5 minutes, that we have only 5 minutes left. Okay. Next question. What should be the main competences of ILOs to be able to properly engage with research infrastructures and ICOs? And of course, we should be aware that there is a huge diversity in ILOs. Technical and economic. Please explain. From who's this answer?
Hi, it's from me, Michele Varone. In my experience, the industries have a problem in interpreting the technical specifications of the tender made by the research international structures. So the role of the ILO and the communication officer is to let to the people from industry understand the meaning of the specifications in order to give the right price for the goods which for which they are tendering.
Yeah. Would someone like to comment on this? Perhaps this one also needs some explanation, high-level understanding of the connection between diverse fields. Is that really necessary? I'm provocative now. Can someone explain?
Well, I did put that there because I think for the members of that network to connect people, you need to have like bird eye view of what's going on in different fields and see, because that's the thing, we work in our own fields and I mean, we advance the research and maybe we build some valuable blocks for technologies from the other field that can be reused. So that I would expect that this external expert will be very valuable for us to hear, like, okay, you can actually, this can be used somewhere else. So that's what I meant. So not be a specialist in one specific domain, but have the view how these domains can be connected, because these days a lot of interesting things are happening on the cross-domain borders.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Maria, sorry, I think we need to go to the next slide. But Maria, how do you see this happening? How would you like to see this happening, like this interconnection between the different fields? Would you like to have, like, I don't know, specific case where we could pick, for instance, because this is maybe something we can provide in Enrich, where we could pick two domains, yeah, and see how, you know, how one domain work and how the other domain work, and see where there's connections or where there's things that work in one and could be applied. How would you see this connection between the diverse
fields? I think in general, yeah, to have this kind of use cases shown that, okay, so the example would help others to be, you know, driven to look for those connections. So if within the project this example is being really elaborated, and maybe of course for the first use case there might be a lot of help and discussion needed, but I would say if you showcase it in the, using the terminology that is understandable on both sides and for other fields, that would be, well, that's how I would see it, very useful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perhaps another question. We know that there are ILOs who are sitting in government institutions, and there are also ILOs, at least in the Dutch case, who are sitting at research institutes. What would you prefer, looking at affinity with research and science? Should ILOs always have a research connection, or is that not that necessary to have that?
Did you have a slide for that, Gerard?
No. It's just an open question without a slide. But perhaps you don't have an opinion about that. That's all.
Can you hit us again with the question, Gerard?
Sorry?
Can you hit us again with the question?
Yeah, well, we have, of course, different ILOs. And there are ILOs in some countries who are sitting in government institutions. Mm-hmm. But there are also ILOs, at least in the case in the Netherlands, in the Dutch situation, who are sitting in research institutes. So they are closer to the actual research. And what would you like for an ILO to be employed at a research institute or a public research, a government organization? There are differences.
Well, let me understand one thing, Gerard. An ILO is concerned mostly with promoting opportunities for industry, most often nationally. An ICO is concerned with promoting opportunities with industry for a particular RI. So that's really the angle from which to answer your question.
Yes, but science is the customer. So at least in this restricted situation in the Netherlands that I explained, an ILO is operating from the science case, and the science case is determining the connection with industry.
Can I intervene? Myself, I am at Democritos, which is a national science research laboratory of Greece. It's the largest in the Balkan area. And this is a state organization. And I am close to the research. Myself, I'm a member of the Institute of Nuclear and Particle Physics. And because of that, I have enjoyed a budget to travel, to go to CERN in order to follow up the bids, all the work related to the business. Privately, I don't know what can happen.
Gerard, if I may intervene, this is Ilaria. I'll just open my camera.
Hi, Ilaria.
Hello. I thought from the survey we just had that an ICO and ILO have different missions, really. And as John was saying, that an ILO is somewhat devoted to supporting industry in obtaining contracts from RIs, and whereas an ICO is more a person is trying to get users for an RI. So I think their missions are quite different, and I think there should be a space where they find a common mission, common scope.
Yeah.
And that
certainly could be in the innovation part.
Yeah.
And which is something that actually neither of these two figures are really tasked to do by their employers. It's not their mission. So I think that there is something for their employers, the policymakers, the government agencies to think about. If we want to solve this innovation paradox of Europe, actually we do have all the ingredients. We just have to put it into our mind and say, okay, we want it to happen, and we do know who to ask. And I don't know if actually this is what is requested or wanted. And I think we, in the course of our project, we will try to investigate this part.
Okay, that's a nice comment, Ilaria, and I think you made a perfect bridge to the next Enrich Your Coffee, because I understand, Anne-Charlotte, that the next Enrich Your Coffee will be about collaboration, but then from the ICO perspective.
Yeah, we would like to then, now that you gave us the insight of what an ILO is and what's the perspective there, we would like to have the second episode on the ICO perspective. We are still hiring an ICO, so Ilaria or whoever would like to take over this next session next week, it would be great, and please get back to us on that. I think there's still a few minutes if you want to continue, and we would like to give you also the opportunity to keep discussing among us and each other through this Zoom that we keep open until 12, but also on our LinkedIn group that has now officially been launched, and I hope that you're all part of it. And I mean, you for the Enrich community, and we would very much appreciate if you come up with ideas how you see it, if you want to take part of it more actively. I mean, this is very much welcome, and I hope this first episode you enjoyed it, and if you have any comments, please get back to us. And yes, I think now the discussion is over, and whoever would like to give some continue the discussion is welcome. Thanks a lot.
And of course, perhaps I should add that all your answers will be saved.
Yes.
Isn't that right? Yeah.
Yes, but a learning from next time, the presenter should ask the name as the first question, so then we know who answered. But we will keep track of all the answers. I see also that there's been discussions and ideas coming in the chat. And Jan, thanks. Yeah, clearly 20 minutes is too short, obviously. But the idea of having these sessions is like we want to have something regular, like on a weekly basis, that it's a place where we can engage and start a discussion, and then we can continue the discussion like in the LinkedIn group, or like kind of off by keeping the link open. We don't want to put pressure on people to have to attend on a weekly basis a long meeting. So this is why we were saying like 20 to 30 minutes meeting should be fine, at least to start engaging and provocating discussions and so on, and then we can continue on another platform, the exchanges. So this is the idea behind these small sessions. And but maybe 30 minutes would work best.
Yes, would be better. But okay, thank you very much for joining this. And
so we want to keep the so maybe you can stop sharing and everybody can turn on their camera, at least those people who wants to stay in and continue exchanging. So
maybe we can just meet each other, introduce yourself, tell us what you do. Things like that.
We have half an hour left with this Zoom link. So whoever wants to stay and take over the, who has any question or ideas or suggestion, or please, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Claudia.
Thanks, Claudia. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Well, I can start by saying who I am for the people that want to stay. So I'm the project administrator for Enrich. So I am running the LinkedIn group that we can all be talking on and communicating. If you need access to that, I put it in the chat. We can continue the conversations on there. But we hope to get a network going, get to understand who's who. The reason why we want to have ILO and ICO is maybe the ICOs don't fully understand what an ILO does, or who they're targeting, or those kind of things, and the same way for the ILO. So the first step in that, in creating a network, is really understanding who is in the network and what they do, and then we can have conversations from there. So that's all for me. If anyone wants to introduce themselves.
Someone we don't know, I mean, not from the Enrich group, would be nice. Okay, Jan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, no problem. So my name is Jan Visser. I work at NICAF, the Dutch Institute for Subatomic Physics, that does all the research and coordinates all the research at CERN. And hence I am the CERN ILO in the Netherlands, also active in the Dutch ILO net. And seeing Jake, I presume he's also in Amsterdam and also in Enrich, so I think we should meet at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
To increase the ILO net in the Netherlands with people which have a slightly different background.
Perhaps also people in the social sciences, Jan.
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, okay, but I don't know exactly who else is from the Netherlands. So on the last one, I checked out a few people that said they could speak Dutch.
Maria is there as well.
Based in Amsterdam, and I think
Clarin?
Yes, exactly. Well, Clarin Eric head office is in the Netherlands, so we have quite some team here. And we have different connection to the social sciences and humanities, so maybe we should be in closer contact.
Yeah. I think so.
Are you allowed to meet physically in the Netherlands?
No, yeah, no more than 30 people.
if we have a wedding, if we have an Enrich your wedding, then we can.
Maybe that's for the closing, right?
Yeah, okay, but we can definitely arrange a meeting, like a Zoom call or something to start with.
Wonderful.
Davide, do you want to present yourself?
Yes, so I'm Davide Di Cioccio. I come from, I work in EMBRC, the European Marine Biological Research Center, and I'm responsible for the access to the services, to the infrastructure that more than 40 marine institutes makes available. And I'm very interested in the topic, and yeah, this is something that is also brought in the past in a project where we were involved. It was called EMBRIC, so it was to foster innovation in the marine biotechnology. And yeah, I'm following this the work that currently set up here.
So you are acting, let's say, as an ICO part, or?
It's currently I received the access request that are received through the by mail in our website, in order to let's say meet the needs of researchers. So there are specific cases of let's say very peculiar requests, but there are also cases where we receive collaboration request. So it's like I just check that we have the facilities of the available among our nodes.
And are you used to working with industry?
Not at all, because my training comes directly from research. So okay. I mean, I'm not in the innovation field.
Okay, thank you. Who else do we have? Alan, do you want to present yourself?
This Eric. Sorry.
Yes, Eric, you can also introduce yourself.
There's also another Eric. Okay. Well, I might be a strange bird in this group. I am from industry originally. Well, I started as being a researcher, physicist in experimental physics, took my PhD there in Amsterdam, and then after 10 years at the university, I moved to industry, to be precise Airbus Industries, in the space industry, and there promoted the participation of Airbus in research infrastructure. So I tried to widen our perspective of products and activities. And after well, ending my work at Airbus, more or less naturally, I became a member, an industrial member, as we call it, in the Dutch ILO net. And I represent Dutch industry within the ILO net. So this is maybe something that is not strictly an ILO. Well, we call me the industrial ILO within the Dutch ILO net, but I'm not representing a scientific institute there.
Okay.
So I bring in expertise, I bring in a network, and well, next to that, I was in particular interested in fusion, and there I'm now also a part of a working group set up by the European Union for future applications of fusion, in particular the follow-up of ITER, the ITER big fusion plant, which is now being constructed in Cadarache, will be followed up by demonstration reactors, demo, and we are already preparing, both from the side of science and from the side of industry and from the side of the European Union, to prepare for demo. So I'm also active in that field.
And how do you see industry being involved in like these kind of activities? I mean, what is their position, or how do they see any? I mean, are they even interested in research infrastructures and you know, being part of that? And how do you connect them?
Connect who and who?
The industry, because you said that you are representing like the the ILO.
Connecting industry is a main task of the Dutch ILO net. So we set up meetings with industry and inform them about opportunities in research infrastructures, industrial opportunities, and I play my role there, and being a chairman or being a discussion leader or things like that.
And then basically you have a pool of industry that you contact depending on the need, or?
Yeah, well, we try to make industry interested, and also connect the various ministries that are involved to this activity. But that's also a task of the coordinator, Gerard, and well, I assist Gerard and advise him in several ways.
So Erik is in fact our, let's say, our industrial conscience, and it is well, at least in my perspective, it's very important to have people in your network who know how industry works on the one hand, and on the other hand, of course, how science works, because these are still different worlds, and we have to try to connect these worlds. So we need people who know the industry, who know the let's say the problems in industry, and of course who also are aware of the challenges that science faces in connecting industry and developing technology. So at least in our experiment in the Netherlands, we have a Dutch ILO net that, well, that collects all these different aspects.
And my understanding was like, basically, I mean, ILOs are mainly represented through the physics and engineering domain. And I was wondering, how does that work for the other science domain? I mean, you should also work with industry, but how do you approach them, and how do a research infrastructure, if you don't have an ILO, how does that connection or communication happen?
Well, to be honest, I don't know.
That may be a question for our for people out, like I don't know, David, we only have like David
no,
and maybe
we still have Alan to introduce himself. Maybe he has something to say on that.
Sorry, is that me?
Yeah, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sorry, Alan Silverman, UK ILO at CERN and Index CERN. I mean, we have the similar job to do as Jan has described, getting industry to serve CERN for its requirements. And I, in various presentations, both this one and previous ones, I'm not sure where there is any overlap between ICO and ILO. It seems to me we are on opposite sides, not opposite sides. We have different tasks and there's very little common ground.
Yeah, so that's the point of our network, is trying to find those.
I realize that I don't see where to start.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why we want to have these conversations to see, you know, if we can find anything and what we can go off of, and
And sometimes we sometimes put firms in contact with our RIs to develop something, and there could be some overlap, but it's more usually to satisfy a need. I mean, I sometimes put a company involved in CERN in contact with someone doing research. But in the end, my job is to have that company sell to CERN and not the other way around.
Yeah, see.
But of course, we should be aware that we are dealing with a lot of diversity. Industry as a user, industry as a supplier. We have the social sciences, we have the physical sciences, and I think the goal of Enrich is, of course, to connect ICOs and ILOs. That's a major task, of course, a prime task. But I think we should also try to connect. Well, the social sciences and the physical sciences in the way they are interacting with research infrastructures. And of course, you can't connect everything, but there are a lot of things that we can learn from each other, I guess. But the problem is there is a lot of diversity, and that's also, of course, perhaps more or less the problem in
but that's an opportunity.
The challenge in Enrich.
Yeah, but that's also an opportunity to learn from. I mean, this is what we were saying before. Like, how do the other work, or how do the other approach, and then what are the good practices or best practices that can then be transferred, and how could they be transferred to the other domain or to the other world, or I mean, I do believe that there are commonalities. And but we need to, I mean, and I think these kind of discussions are good to try to find out. Maybe we sometimes we can talk about the same things, but with a different wording or vocabulary or perspective.
Can I make a suggestion that somebody writes down the commonalities that you think you've seen, and we can look at them, because there's a lot of words being spoken, and I'm not sure what practical steps can be taken. I agree it's a good goal, but I'm kind of a practical person. I'd like to see something written down on where there may be commonalities and how we could then discuss those, rather than just talk about what each other does.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We can definitely have a session on that. So we can, I mean, obviously we'll start with the ILO perspective and the ICO perspective, and then maybe we can go on to ways that we think we can collaborate, and then we have a discussion on that. I think that's a great idea.
And of course, we can already perhaps draw some conclusions from the survey we just finished, Madison.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there will also be other, I mean, the activities in work package 3 with the focus group also, they will discuss. There will be a platform for discussing this kind of trying to understand where are the commonalities. We are not saying that tomorrow this will be solved, but I think engaging the discussion and trying to take topic or be provocating on aspects. This is where, you know, by talking we would understand what the other do and how they do it, and what can I take, what can I buy or not, what is absolutely not for me. But I think this is this kind of exchange that would bring up. I mean, this project is 3 years, and I hope it will continue. I mean, not after 3. I mean, it will not end in 3 years. But I mean, I think it's a long-lasting debate and discussions, and it's quite ambitious. I agree, but I think it can create good. I mean, if we find at least 1 or 2 aspects that can create great opportunities as well for the future and the collaboration. And
yeah, and this is
eventually it's of course it's the goal of this project.
Yeah, this is a great use for our LinkedIn group that I put. I mean, if anyone has any ideas or already some connections that you think, just shoot those in the group and we can start a conversation from there on the LinkedIn. Because I think I also agree with Alan, it's good to get some ideas down and start the conversation from there.
What happened to the working groups? Are they started?
They start in January.
Right.
So right now, Nikolai is who's in charge of that. He's not in this call right now, but he's working on organizing everything, and then I believe everything will kick off in January. Is that still so, Angela?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And so he's preparing the groups now, and I'm having a meeting with him this afternoon and he might have a coffee session during the first season before Christmas, where he can probably give a bit more info about how that will work. And
perhaps coming back on the ILO networks and what they are doing, I would be very interested in well, knowing if there are other ILO networks who are pretty well organized. I know that we have an ILO network in Sweden and in Denmark, of course, and also to look at the tasks of these ILO networks, what they do, what disciplines they consist of. I think that's also something that would be very valuable, also to organize the networks on the national scales, because it starts with the networks on a national scale. And if we have different ILO networks on a national scale, it's much easier to cooperate, to collaborate on a European level. So that might also be something to think about in this discussions that will follow.
Absolutely.
Anyone wants to say something? Maybe on a research infrastructure to counterbalance a little bit? No?
But if not, then we welcome everybody back next week on Tuesday also at 11, and it'll be from the ICO perspective. I know many of you are ILOs clearly, but if you want to join in on that, just learn a little bit about them, see what they discuss, we would be very happy for you to join in.
Please join that conversation next connected together, and we exchange and we start to understand where we overlap, if there is any area of overlap, certainly in the methodologies, certainly in the practices we share, but certainly there is things we can learn from each other. And if we stay connected, at least we can really point to some critical issues, or things we'd like to work on together, and this can be the basis for future work. We can make things happen if we stay connected.
Yeah, I think it's important that, like, for instance, today we had a representative from research infrastructures and ICOs. So then you have a first, understanding and insight of what an ILO is. And that next week, we hope we will see ILOs in the meeting. So then you can also see on the other side what they are doing and how they work and what are their expectations. And then we can start, this is where we will start to see the connections. Maybe it won't be super obvious, but maybe there will be things there where we can say, oh yeah, maybe this can be something where we can start digging, a bit more. And great. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And for
Thanks
trusting
very
in,
much, Gerard.
for being here with us in Enrich. And thanks a lot, Gerard. I think it was very good. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you again
Have a good
soon.
day.
Thank you.
Bye.